No, I have heard the slogan, but I wouldn't again equate them. It is like equating the central government with the state government. So because the state government's powers are ultimately limited, this is a very small state where nobody can be as powerful as the prime minister. I wouldn't make that kind of a comparison. That does not mean that we need not criticize any kind of dictatorial or authoritarian tendency that we may find.
The kind of tactics being played by the right wing at the center, those are being replicated. Those are being done here also.
Especially in the case of police, repressive state affairs policing.
Yes.
Policing in the government, UAP.
Yes, I have opposed and I still oppose these. There are false cases hoisted, and the police behavior generally. I cannot pinpoint. I cannot say exactly what the reason is, because one of the reasons that the leftists often put forward is that a lot of RSS people have entered the police. So that could be an excuse, and that could well be a reason also because it can easily make the government unpopular. Not that I have bought it completely, but it is not impossible. Looking at the strategies of the Sangh, it is not impossible that a lot of them have got into the police force also, and they create problems here and there, so that the government, and especially as the chief minister is in charge of the home ministry also, he also gets a kind of bad name. So I am not saying that it is so, but that is one possibility. Otherwise, well, there are failures. There are failures, and I am because I have always believed and still believe that these rules like the UAPA must go. I mean, they have no place in a democratic society at all. The Sedition Act, so there are many things that even Gandhi had opposed the Sedition Act at that time, and we need to oppose these acts. And as long as they are there, you cannot fearlessly voice your opinion, because you can any time be called a traitor, you can any time be arrested, and so many things up to what was done to Guru Vasu. So I have been following it very closely, and I also feel that this is not something a communist government should do or should have been doing. So there are certainly mistakes. There are negatives. There are points where we need to be critical. But what I mean is only that we need not dismiss the party altogether, saying that it is irrelevant. It is not, because it still upholds. Because I look not at the ministers, I look at the common people. And when I look at the common people who still have a lot of faith in the party, and sometimes it is a blind kind of faith, but still a faith in the party, believing that these are the people who stand for us and stand for justice. As long as those people are there, the party cannot go wrong beyond a point. There is a corrective force somewhere beneath. So there are mistakes certainly, but it is still a force. In Kerala at least, it is still a force. Even though at the national level it may be a minor force, but in Kerala it is still a major kind of force, and people have faith in that. So they may keep them or reject them or again bring them, and that's what Kerala's people have been doing, and doing wisely, I would say, so that no party would become very arrogant. Even 2 terms can make a party very arrogant. So and 3 terms can destroy it, as we saw it in Bengal. So I keep saying and telling my comrades that so at least you should pray that next time you should not come to power. That will be the end of it.
It's sort of an idol worship of a leader, like as he said, in center and the state.
No, that happened. You cannot blame the leader alone for that. You need also look at there is a kind of psychology of hero worship, which is at work in almost all the in all the parties, in all kinds of organizations. There is a kind of hero worship. I am not saying because I don't think that the leader is saying come and worship me, but people go and can fall prostrate at his feet, and you cannot blame the leader for that.
That can be systematic also. The leader creates a way in which only he will be the person who calls the shots. Then there is no other option for another person to.
But
Well,
it's a kind of a scenario was there, never there. Itra one scenario, it was never there in Kerala, at least.
true. I agree there. I agree because personality cult can be, that's all I can say generally, can be very harmful to especially a communist movement, as we saw in Stalin's time, because that is the best example of what you call a personality cult, and as long as the Marxist Party does not critique Stalin and Stalinism, there is this danger of the personality cult coming up in various forms and from various and even unexpected corners. So that is something one need to be worried about.
Do you think this Stalinism still exists in the CPM? Do you think this Stalinism still exists in the CPM and its leaders?
Stalinist streak. Yeah, it is. But as long as you find, Marx, Engels, Stalin, Lenin, Stalin on all the billboards and all that, so it seems his head is there among among the other heads. So I wouldn't reject that completely, that there is no streak of Stalinism. Because even now, when I or somebody else speaks against Stalin, there are a lot of people who keep defending Stalin. Because of him, the World War was won and the fascism was defeated and all that. Even though there were various chances that came together to defeat Hitler or lead him to suicide. It was not that Stalin alone fought. There are people who still defend Stalin. Stalin might have had his positive point. At that particular point of time, he might have taken a correct stand, even though later you have seen them shaking hands also, the same Stalin and Hitler. I mean, there was a point when they... So, but then yes, Stalinism can be a danger to any democratic party, not only Marxist Party, because it's an anti-democratic kind of authoritarian trend or tendency which can harm any kind of party.